Ahead in the news, Cyclone Yasi is just over 30 hours away and is potentially deadly. The RAF will airlift the sick and frail to safety tonight.
People power and the future of Egypt. 6 p.m. is there with the latest as the world's biggest Arab nation, let alone its leader, face their toughest test. That's tonight on 6 p.m.
Tonight, the clear and present danger in the north.
Please make no mistake, this storm is a deadly event.
Cyclone Yasi has the state braced for the worst.
This is a very serious threat.
The monster storm is just over 30 hours away. Disaster experts fear it will be far more devastating than Cyclone Larry.
This is 10 News with Georgina Lewis.
Good evening. Tropical Cyclone Yasi is bearing down on North Queensland, where many residents are fleeing what could be one of the worst cyclones in the state's history. The potentially deadly Category 4 cyclone will cross land sometime around 1 a.m. on Thursday and is expected to hit with more force than Cyclone Larry. Premier Anna Bligh joins us from EMQ headquarters. And Premier, thanks for your time. A monster cyclone following hot on the heels from our record floods. Is it about to get even worse?
Our friends in North Queensland will be facing a very anxious 24 hours as the full force of this huge cyclone starts to make itself felt tomorrow morning. We'll see gale force winds on the coast from tomorrow morning, torrential rain, very high seas, and it will get very significantly worse throughout tomorrow. So we are facing a very, very dangerous situation.
Well, we're seeing massive numbers of evacuations in a large number of centres. How is this being achieved?
We've been sending the message out very clearly since late yesterday afternoon that people in any area in the affected zone who are in low-lying waterfront areas that could see some storm surge associated with the cyclone should be relocating to friends and family or leaving town if possible. That has been occurring. People have been cooperating with authorities. In some parts of this region, we've now issued mandatory evacuation orders. These are very highly populated centres. People should stay in their own home where they can. They should take in friends and family where they can, and they need to be battening down the hatches, bringing in their outdoor furniture, being ready for a huge weather event.
Well, we know throughout the day residents have been fleeing the disaster zone. Is it too late now to get out?
From about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, it is likely to be very difficult to be travelling on any of the roads north of Townsville. The weather conditions will become quite extreme and some roads may close or have very limited access. And it's very likely that we'll see the airports closing throughout the morning tomorrow to anything other than emergency flights. So people do need to be finding locations with friends. It's only those in waterfront low-lying areas that need to be relocated. Otherwise, sheltering in your own home is the safest possible thing for you to be doing now rather than getting out and trying to be on flooded roads tomorrow.
Some good advice. Thank you, Premier Bligh, for your time.
Thank you.
Cairns is directly in the path of Yasi. Mayor Val Scheer joins us now. And Mayor, what's happening there at the moment?
We've been in planning mode all day, obviously looking at this huge system and somewhat in awe of the size of it. We've identified 6 low-lying areas in the region that goes from Port Douglas right down to Bramston Beach, and we've been recommending today that people evacuate from those areas. And the most recent decision we've made is that we will actually open up 6 evacuation centres tomorrow morning.
Aside from the 2 hospital evacuations, what other emergency preparations have you put in place?
Well, really, we're just looking at everything that might happen. So it's a matter of being able to make sure that people are prepared, that they've cleaned up around their houses. We've had free dumping at all of our waste transfer centres today for green waste and general rubbish that could become projectiles.
The people of Innisfail are especially nervous tonight. The town bore the brunt of Cyclone Larry, which left a $1 billion damage bill and most of Australia's banana crop in ruins. Mark Nusafora, chairman of the Cassowary Coast Banana Growers Association, joins us on the phone. Mark, what's the mood there amongst banana growers?
Yeah, well, we're very worried, obviously, and very anxious that this cyclone is coming and could possibly cause destruction of the industry again.
Reporter Anthony Donaghy joins us now from Cairns. And Anthony, what's the mood there in the community?
Well, as we drove into Cairns, Georgie, the southbound lanes were like a car park, so obviously people have now started evacuating. But in the town itself, there's still a lot of holiday makers and backpackers. They're expected to leave tomorrow. As you can see me, the main pool here behind me is closed. That certainly is a sign of what's to come. Just looking at some of the facts of Cyclone Yasi, it's around 500 kilometres in width. It's clocking speeds of around 250 to 260 kilometres an hour. Now that is stronger than Cyclone Larry. And the other danger is the tsunami surges from the water. If that does happen, around 9,000 homes near the coast in Cairns will flood. Now these cyclonic winds are expected to be around 120 kilometres tomorrow morning, so I'd say a lot of these people in Cairns will start making their way south. Otherwise it'll be very dangerous, because we've been told this will be a deadly blow.
Thank you, Anthony. Well, reporter Sarah Horsley joins us live from Townsville. And Sarah, what's happening there now?
Well, the wind has just started to pick up here in Townsville, but I have to say the situation now is looking a lot better than it was 24 hours ago. The council was preparing for a storm surge of about 4 metres, which would have affected large parts of the city, flooding thousands of homes and businesses. That's just been revised down based on the current predicted path for Yasi as she crosses further north. Now, this afternoon, the council released new flood maps, which we'll try to show you now. That shows the storm surge is still predicted for low-lying areas. The northern beaches in particular are vulnerable, and people living in those areas are being urged to move to higher ground. Now, the council says if at the last resort no one has anywhere to go, they will organise a shelter. That will not be an evacuation centre, but a shelter as a last resort, somewhere to sit and ride out this storm. Now, we know cyclones are unpredictable. This one in particular is a huge system, and Townsville is getting ready. They're preparing for the worst, and especially the days, even weeks ahead.
Thanks, Sarah. Townsville Mayor Les Tyrrell joins us now to give us an update on the situation. Councillor Tyrrell, what is the latest for your city?
Probably a little bit of a glimmer of good news in that the forecast landing for Cyclone Yasi is now towards Cairns. That helps us to some extent, but doesn't take away the difficulties that we'll obviously have with heavy rain and gale force winds.
Well, Amanda, can you spell exactly out what's ahead for us?
Georgie, we do have a much better idea now of how this is tracking. Yasi at the moment is a Category 3. It's got winds gusting to about 220 k's an hour. It will be a Category 4 by 1 in the morning. So the islands and the north coast will feel gale force winds early tomorrow. They'll just continue to get worse through the day as the centre moves closer, forceful enough to be destructive, tearing through coastal areas from Cooktown down to Townsville. Also tomorrow, skies will darken, seas will rise to about 4 metres. The cyclone warning zone extends all the way down to Serena. Yasi will cross at 1 on Thursday morning, it's believed, between Cairns and Atherton, with Cairns the closest major centre to the eye. The dangerous storm surge comes at the time of the crossing. Even after it's hit land, Yasi will stay a cyclone, spinning as it moves inland. Thursday afternoon, it's expected to hit Croydon, a Category 1, reaching Mount Isa Thursday midnight, and even on Saturday Alice will start to feel the effects. So Georgie, now we just have to wait a long few days ahead.
Sounds like it. Thank you, Amanda, and come back to us at 6:30 when the Premier will have her next update live on the evening news at 6:30. And we'll also update cyclone developments throughout this bulletin, but next, good news for Brisbane ferry commuters.